So, friends, I'm really grateful to Professor Santa Ono for joining me today. We're going to have a conversation about leadership in a time like this. Professor Ono is the 15th president and vice chancellor of the University of British Columbia. I saw today UBC was ranked 38th in the world just on Facebook. Professor Ono was installed as president and vice chancellor in 2016, so he's just completing 5 years. And we're really excited about the news that his engagement with UBC has been renewed for a second term. Prior to his appointment as president and vice chancellor, Dr. Ono served as the 28th president of the University of Cincinnati. He is a molecular immunologist who was educated at the University of Chicago and McGill, and he's taught at Johns Hopkins, Harvard, University College London, and he has advised national and regional governments on higher education and mental health. Dr. Ono has been inducted as a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, the Canadian Academy of Health Sciences, the National Academy of Inventors, and the Johns Hopkins Society of Scholars. Amongst his many awards, Professor Ono holds honorary doctorates from Chiba University and, of course, the Vancouver School of Theology. Welcome, Professor Ono. I'm so grateful that you've agreed to speak to me today on the topic of leadership and faith in a time like this. Thank you for your time and wisdom.
Thanks for inviting me.
Professor Ono, these have been challenging times, really unprecedented is words that you've used in our lifetime. COVID-19 has changed educational institutions, including Vancouver School of Theology and UBC in many ways, and it's required innovation and serious adaptive change. As an important leader in education in our province and country and internationally, what are you learning about leadership during this current pandemic?
Well, I'm learning many different things about leadership during the pandemic. And it's really hard to decide where to start. But I would say probably the most important thing I'm learning, and I hope all leaders are learning, is the importance of humility. Because this is totally unprecedented, and there is no manual or playbook on how to deal with this situation. So I think every leader that I've spoken with, whether they're in a Fortune 500 company or they're head of state, or they are in charge of a large ministry or in charge of an institution, all of them are really struggling with knowing exactly what to do. And I think those who are doing well pause and take some time to consult with others through their networks. And to really bounce ideas off of each other about what are the different options. One of the biggest challenges is that it's not really clear how long this pandemic will last, where the numbers will grow, or whether they will be a second wave. And so there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of question marks is what I hear all the time. So it's very difficult to model or to plan when the future is unclear. So that's a second complication. The first is you don't know what to do. The second is you don't know exactly where you're going. It's a moving target. And so you have to be flexible. You have to be nimble. You have to be humble. And the biggest mistake one can make is to assume that you understand what's going to happen. That you understand exactly what steps you need to take, because all of it is pretty new. And so I would say what I have learned and what many people are learning is the importance of humility. But the second thing is embedded in my answer is the importance of relying upon each other and consulting and being patient in a time where many people are impatient. I think that that's something that's very important that I have learned.
Yes. How do you find you're needing to make decisions as a leader with very often incomplete information? How do you go about communicating to people so that you're transparent, but that you also have things to say, guidance to give? You find that a difficult balance to maintain?
Oh, absolutely. But I think that the best way to hold yourself, if you will, during those situations is to be very honest about what you do know and what you don't know, and to take a little bit of time and talk about the different scenarios. You see it on news every day. You have experts such as Anthony Fauci, who's the head of NIAID at the National Institutes of Health. He is arguably the world's leader on infectious diseases. He had a lot of experience with other viruses such as SARS and HIV.
Mm.
But he's the first to be humble and to admit that he doesn't know much about SARS-CoV-2, which is the virus that causes COVID-19. So you can see in him that he leads with, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know what this virus is like. I don't know what how the immune system will respond. Now, several months, maybe half a year after this really arrived on our scene, we're starting to get some of the answers to those questions. And some of those question marks are being replaced with answers. But if you watch him, he's very honest about what he doesn't know. And I think that all leaders need to be honest about what they don't know and what the implications are for the different possible scenarios that one might encounter in this kind of a pandemic.
Have you found there's any surprising opportunities in the midst of a time like this? I mean, things have surfaced that may not have surfaced otherwise. I was in a conversation with a group of university presidents not too long ago, and one of them said some negotiation around different points is now possible that wasn't before because things come a little unglued.
Well, one of the things that is quite surprising is how rapidly the academy switched from face-to-face to remote instruction.
Yes.
And having taught at a number of institutions, I can tell you that there are many people, a large part of the academy that are not fans of remote instruction. And so it was quite surprising to myself, maybe to you, that everyone bought in because there was no other alternative. And in the matter of days was able to switch, in our case, tens of thousands of courses to fully remote from face-to-face. And it's really miraculous. And so that surprised me. And I can tell you that some of the faculty members that I have met who have been staunch opponents of remote instruction have come along to my office and say, it's not all that bad. It makes a lot of sense to at least have part of the course delivered remotely, because then you can really focus in the classroom to true discussion and debate and dialogue. Yeah. And so that's been a little bit of a surprise. I guess the other surprise has been, as you know, we all have problems with space, office space, classroom space, laboratory space. And one of the things that's surprising is how much of the work of the university can actually be accomplished from a distance. And so if you look at the administrative units of the university, large parts of that are working just fine remotely. And so that gives that might be one solution to the space problem that we're all experiencing, is that if part of your staff wants to work from home and actually are getting more done more efficiently at home, why not let them stay at home? Yeah, and then use the space that is in your building or in your campus in a way that's really necessary, that needs to be to happen on campus. So that's a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah. Do you think there's other long-term implications? I mean, that may be one, even when we're through this, the COVID-19 crisis, that maybe one long-term repercussion is people can work remotely. We've discovered they can do that well. Are there other things that you think might be more permanent changes rather than temporary ones?
Well, one of the things that we're hearing loud and clear from students around the world is that there's long been this prediction that there'll be a disruption in post-secondary, that people will prefer to, for whatever reason, efficiency or cost, move to a fully remote instruction situation. One of the things that's been surprising is that if you look at every single survey, and it's pretty much true around the world, that students greatly prefer face-to-face instruction. Yeah. That students that have, for example, at UBC, experienced remote instruction and much of it of very high quality. They're very, very clear that they prefer the on-campus environment and face-to-face instruction so that they actually get to know the faculty member and to interact optimally with fellow classmates. So that's been a little bit of a surprise. And I think what it means, to answer your question about the future of post-secondary, is that because there's such a preference for that I don't think there will be a total disruption where terrestrial universities, campuses will disappear and everything will be done from one's apartment or condominium or home, that there is a strong preference for campus-based instruction.
No, so there's something irreducible about being the human relationship, right, that takes place in person. So much. I notice that technologies keep saying things like use this technology because it's just like being there, which implies there's a default there, that being there might be the thing we're trying to imitate. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
The other question I had is that you're a person of faith. You said when you first arrived at UBC that you were not a stealth Christian, but someone who feels free to sort of exercise your faith in public and to live out its implications in public. How has your faith helped you during the current circumstances, both personally and in your work as a leader?
Well, I'm very fortunate that the number of opportunities to engage have increased during my several years here at UBC. And many of those places where I attend church are now virtual. And I still attend them whenever I can on a Sunday. And for example, the past couple of Sundays, I've tuned in remotely to the 10th church that has a presence at UBC, as you know. It's a virtual presence right now, but it's just as important as being able to go to 10th face-to-face with Ken Shigematsu or someone else. This has been difficult. Managing an institution of this size with this much transition, this much uncertainty, weighs on me and the leadership of this institution, and I'm sure you and leaders at all post-secondary institutions are under quite a bit of duress. Not only because of the challenge, but also because of the financial impact of the pandemic and having to navigate that. And so for me, that time with the Lord, with a community, even though it's virtual, is critical to renewing my belief in humanity, in energizing me for another week, and for giving me perspective. I think that one of the beauties of Christianity is that you learn through the life of Christ that everyone suffers, including Jesus. And all of us need each other to sometimes carry us through difficult times. And so for me, that's why my faith is so critically important, because especially in difficult times such as this.
Well, thank you very much for that. I'm really grateful for your taking the time to be with us today. I know that you're very busy. Are you still on vacation, or you're back at work?
Oh, I'm working. I've just come from a Zoom meeting talking about integrated renewal of our systems, which is supposed to happen on November 2nd. And as you can imagine, we're one of the largest such systems renewal programs anywhere on the planet, really. Wow. And so it's a gigantic initiative that we're involved in. So I pray every night that it'll go well.
Yeah. Have you found that you mentioned earlier humility and patience? Those are certainly Christian virtues that the gospel instills in us. But on the patience side, you made me reflect that how everything takes a little bit longer to get done than it did before. And have you experienced that, the need for patience just with timelines?
Yeah, I think that you do have to be more patient. You have to be more patient not only with timelines, but with other people.
Yes.
But there also is a silver lining. And perhaps there's a reason that we're all going through this pandemic. The silver lining is that you have more time to think about who you are and what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish. And you have more time usually for your family. I talk to a lot of my peers, and their kids are at home. They can't get to university. And, because face-to-face, in-person parties or events are all been canceled, one of the, I think, blessings of this pandemic is it's brought many families closer together. Sometimes they get frustrated with each other, as you know, but it's actually maybe a very good thing that we slow down a little bit as individuals, and we spend more time thinking about what we're doing and what we should care about and
Mm-hmm.
how we can be part of the kingdom.
Yes, yes. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, I find the sober second thought, is this really worth doing? And yeah, I experienced the similar kinds of things with decisions because you can't do them fast. Some of them you don't end up doing. Yeah.
And sometimes you avoid mistakes for that reason.
Indeed, yes. Well, thank you very much for your time, Professor. I know how busy you are with things at the university, with the fall just there on the horizon, with new students coming in, and I can't tell you how grateful I am. First of all, about your reappointment at the university, but also for your time with me today. I'm really grateful.
Thank you, and God bless you too, and everyone at VST.
And you too. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.